I would like to introduce Sonia Farache, which is also an advisory board member. Sonia, would you like to take a couple of minutes to introduce yourself before we introduce Monica?
Sure. For those that do not know me yet, my name is Sonia Ferracci. I am part of the advisory board for with the Hispanic Chamber of E-commerce. I'm also business social media consultant working with TIDE in ways where we can benefit the Latino community. And I am delighted to be here today and especially having Monica to talk about how we can take our business and our personal life into the next level. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Sonia. And well, Monica, we are all very excited to be here with you today. And I don't want to take too much of this valuable time to talk about you. I'm going to let you introduce yourself. So if you could please introduce yourself, and then after your introduction, we will move forward with a few questions that I want to ask you.
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me. I am just honored that I am able to be with this advisory board. What a great opportunity to be part of bringing the Latinos together, especially when it comes to the internet. You guys have such an amazing mission, and I am just feeling very great that I can be part of that. Again, my name is Monica Borbay, and I am a bilingual motivational speaker, and I'm also a trainer. And to give you a little bit of background about me, I am actually from Venezuela, and I moved here when I was 19 years old. And, you know, when I think about how long that's been, and when I came to this country, not really knowing what direction I was going to go, and there have been so many events in my life that have brought me to where I am today. So I am just very fortunate that I've had so many experiences and so many different businesses that I can bring that inspiration and information to the Latina entrepreneurs nationwide. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Monica. So let me start this conversation by asking you, because this was a very common question that we received from all the participants, and they are all very impressed with your bio because we share it through Facebook. So they all want to know, how did you go from nothing to running now a multi-million-dollar company? Are there any tips, experiences that you would like to share?
Yeah, well, you know, that doesn't happen overnight. One of the first things that happened to me when I created my company, and this was back when I actually opened a bilingual staffing agency back in 1996. What I did is I knew there was a need for a Hispanic-based staffing agency where people could feel comfortable to come in and being able to look for work. So what I did is, the first thing that I did was I researched the competition. I looked and I researched and I find out what are the things that they're doing, so I can come in and do something completely different. You have to be unique. You have to be different. So I was calling and I actually became very involved with the community, trying to find out what is it that I can do as an agency that would be completely different than everybody else. So another thing that I did is I became very involved with the community. I think one of the biggest advices that I can give somebody is to go ahead and get involved with different groups, organizations, so people can get to know you, who you are. And they are going to bring business to you, because now you're giving, you're part of the community. Be a volunteer, do different things. So what I did, let me tell you a little story about how I went from nothing, because I didn't have anything. I just did the research and I decided to open my own company. What I did is I went out with my employees to the different companies, and I actually worked as one of them, so I would know exactly what they were doing. That way, the employer was looking at me like, why are you here? Because I want my employees to know exactly how this is done. So I put on my little hat, and I remember this. We were working at a factory, and I'm there with them learning how to package all these vegetables. And because I want to make sure that, first of all, nobody got hurt. Everybody knew exactly what that company was expecting from them. So I became different than nobody. You never saw a CEO of a company right there doing the work. So I think that if you have a business, find out how you can be involved on what you're doing, and so people can see that you are completely different company than everybody else out there. So I think that's super important to do.
Now, let me ask you something because you know that to start a business, you need to have, the financial means to do it. So, how did you finance your first venture?
Well, I had saved a little bit of my own personal money to kind of get it started, but I also found out that there, as a minority and also as a women-owned business, there are so many different avenues for us to get loans, grants. I actually went to the Business Development Center, and they showed me how I can apply for a microloan. So I applied to every single possible thing that I could think of, and guess what? I received a $25,000 microloan that I used to get my business started. And then I just kept going. I kept asking, where can I get some more funds? There's so much out there available for us. We as Latinos have grown so much in the United States, and we have tripled as entrepreneurs. So there's, for example, Wells Fargo. I know Wells Fargo is they have a passion about helping minorities with loans. So that's another avenue that you can go and research. But find out, because every state has a different loan process, and you can get the money that you need, but you have to have a business plan. And with the business plan, you can go in there and really show them and passionately show them what is it that you're doing. So I think it's so important to get that done.
That's great. There are a lot of Latinas entrepreneurs, and right now it's like the fastest growing group within the Latino business community. And one of the questions that they ask is like, a lot of them are especially the ones that are just starting their business, they are facing challenges uh, to balance the startup with the personal life. So, what are some of the tips that you could give to all these Latinas entrepreneurs that are just starting their business, and probably in the beginning they didn't realize that it was going to take that much time, to position the business in the marketplace? So I don't know if you can share some of the stuff that you did to balance both.
Oh, believe me, well, first of all, I was a mother, I was a spouse, and I was starting a brand new business. So you have to play this game. How do you balance it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I found was I got my family involved in the business. I wanted them to understand why mom was working from 6 o'clock in the morning until 7, 8 o'clock at night, that how important that time was. But I also made sure, because everything that I was doing was for my family. They were my why, my children. So I made time, special day times with my children and my spouse, where we would have time together where I was not talking about business. It was all about family. So I think that if you can figure out a way to create a schedule, because I was just as guilty as everybody else. I used to spend the weekends and hours in the office, but really, if I would have set up the times where I was really productive, and then I could spend the time with my family, and then keeping them involved with the business and knowing how things are going so that they can be excited about what's happening. I think that then you can create some balance both in your personal life and also in your business life.
Now, let me ask you something, because I have gone through that process too. Uh, how long did it take you to get from spending all the, weekdays and weekends in your business to the point that you are talking right now, where you created a schedule and you kind of like committed a day or two to your spouse and children? How long did it take? Because I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of Latinas out there asking themselves, I was like, yeah, but I'm in year one and I can figure out how to get to that point.
Yeah. Well, I think it depends on the business. For me, the first year was crucial. That was so important because really my business didn't even take off until 6 months. I
Okay.
was I was wearing two hats. When I first started the business, I was first at the office interviewing people in the mornings, and then in the afternoons, I would lock the door and be back at 4 o'clock, and I would actually go and look for companies to hire my employees. So I was running back and forth. So really, the first year of business, really realistically, you are going to be committed to that time, but you still can create some special times to be with your family. Now later, what happened, for example, for me, is I started hiring help because when I first started, I thought, oh, I can do everything, I can do
Yeah.
all this by myself, right? Don't we
Hmm.
all? But
Yeah.
really, once you get the money, the capital that you can actually bring in some help, I got my first assistant, then later on I got a couple more, and then now you're not spending 10, 12 hours at the office, and you can go out and spend some time with the family.
So how long did it take you to hire your first part-time or full-time employee?
1 year. My first year in business, I had my first full-time employee, and actually, she stayed in the office, and I was out looking for business, and it was fabulous because the interaction was great. Because I was so good at being able to talk to people and look for companies that needed people, and she would stay in and do the interviews. But that's what I was doing. My staffing agency. I wanted to kind of incorporate a little bit what happened to me later after I sold my business, because that's what really brought me into what I'm doing today, which is public speaking and doing some coaching, business coaching. See, there are things that happen in your life that you think, oh, how all these things happened to me. And let me tell you something. When you find that everything is going crazy, that means that something fabulous is happening. Because when I sold my business, I had an opportunity to actually go work for Anthony Robbins, which is a whole new story. And that is what really got me into the speaking business. So see, sometimes you are in a business and it's great, you learn a lot, but your calling could be something completely different.
Can you share that story, because I think it's gonna be really interesting to learn about it.
Well, what happened was, after I sold my business, I actually went to a Tony Robbins event because I
Okay.
wanted to learn. I always followed him, and he has been one of the biggest inspirations for me. And I thought, let me send my information to his company. Now he's in San Diego, right there where you at, and I
Yeah.
was in Kansas City, right? What are the odds that possibly I could work for somebody like him? Well, never underestimate things, because I sent my information to the Anthony Robbins companies and I forgot all about it. And about 8 months later, I get a phone call from their company, and I thought they were selling me tickets. And they said, "Listen, we have looked at your information, and we think you would be fabulous at actually going out and speaking to invite people to come to the Tony Robbins event in Kansas City." I almost fell off my chair. I thought, okay, somebody is playing a joke on me. Well, guess what? They flew me to San Diego. I had to do this presentation. I was the only woman in that whole group of people. It was 10 gentlemen who actually did all the presentations, and I was the only girl. And I did it, and guess what? I got hired. And that was the best 3 years of my life when I worked for him. And because of that, that's why I'm doing public speaking now.
And when was that?
That was from 2003 to 2006.
So how long before you sold your staffing agency? For how long did you own it?
It was 2 years in between. It
Okay.
was 2 years, and I was still managing the business from the outside. And then I thought, I felt like there was something different that I was supposed to do. I always wanted to do something for people, and that's why I opened my staffing agency, because I was having a hard time finding jobs when I first moved to this country. But then I thought, no, there's something else that I'm supposed to do, and guess what? That's what I'm doing right now.
What advice would you give to any Latin entrepreneur out there that is just in business because they want to make money and they are not really like following their passion? Because that's something really common in our community. What advice would you give to those Latinas entrepreneurs that are in that situation right now?
Well, just like I was, I think that if you're doing something now, it's wonderful because you are going to learn so many traits. You're going to find out how to market yourself. You're going to learn how to do a business. Like, I had no idea how to start a business, and I researched it, and I started from scratch. And look at everything that happened from that. So my advice is, if you're doing something now, if it feels good, do it. But if you feel that there's something else, try to find out what your passion is, or it might come to you just like it came to me in a way that I never expected. So I think that we always should stay where we are just to learn, and if it feels right. But if you're miserable and it's not working, then find your passion, because there's nothing better than do what you love. Then you're not working. You're just not working. There's not a day that you feel like you're actually working.
That's right. One other question right here. Have you ever failed?
Have I ever failed?
In one of your projects.
Oh, well, of course. And I think that's one of the things about Latinos is that we're not scared to take risk. And when you take risk, there's going to be those moments where you might fail. But I don't feel like it's actually failing, because when things are going wrong or things are not happening, just like I said before, that's just a pathway that is showing you to where you're supposed to go. So I learned from all that. Let me give you an example. One of the biggest challenges that I had was when I was working for Anthony Robbins. I thought I had it made. I was so excited. We were traveling. I was learning how to speak. And then my mom was diagnosed with cancer. They gave her 6 weeks to live. Wow. Now, I had to make a huge decision. Either I was going to continue going and going traveling and we were getting ready to go to Australia, or stay with my mom. And of course, you probably know the answer. Mm-hmm. I stayed with my mom, and she actually lived for 2 years. They gave her 6 weeks to live, but she actually lived for 2 years.
Wow.
Now, I could have taken that time that I was taking care of my mom as a time of feeling sorry or feeling bad. But what I did is, first of all, I became so close to her, and I learned so much from her. She always told me, Monica, I wish I'd done things differently. Follow your dreams. And so what I did is, in the times that I had when I didn't have to take care of my mom, I would actually go out and do some public speaking. And trust me, it was not easy to be happy and content when I knew my mom was at home battling her cancer. But see, something that was probably so sad actually taught me how I could go out and start doing public speaking, and how to become a motivational speaker and a coach. And that's how my career got started with what I do today. So, I always tell people, look at you never fail. I don't think you fail. What happens is those are those little stones that you have to kick so you can make it and get to where you're supposed to be.
You know, and that, I think that probably answered the other question that I have in my list. What was the biggest challenge that you had to face in your career, and how did you manage it? And I think that you just answered it, but I don't know if there was another one, you know, when you owned your staffing agency, because I think the feeling that I got from all the questions that we receive is that we have a lot of Latinas entrepreneurs that are just starting. And I assume that they're in that position where, you know, things are probably not going the right way, or you thought that you were going to start making a lot of money like in 2-3 months, but you just said that it takes a lot of hard work and dedication to make things happen. Was there a moment, you know, when you launched your first business that you have to face, you know, like a big challenge?
Well, yeah, and I think it has to do, a lot of it has to do with the money.
With the money?
Obviously, everybody worries about the money. How are you going to have the money to pay for everything? And that's one thing that you have to become very astute of how you're going to manage the money that you receive. For example, when I receive my microloan, I have to be very careful how I allocated everything that I have so I can continue month by month, because my employees needed to get paid. They worked every week, so I had to make sure that they got paid. But that's why you make sure that you have enough accounts. And there's now that we have so many avenues of bringing in more customers, like you guys do now with the internet. I just think that back then when I had my business, you know, we didn't have all that. So I think the challenge of the money, and I know a lot of Latinos are thinking, how can I create this money? But there are ways. There really are ways, and this is things that I can give that information out of where you can go and help you create that money that you need to push you to keep going, because the revenue is going to come in eventually, but you have to be secure for the first 6 months so you can survive and not decide that this is not going to work.
That's a good
Does that
advice
answer the
right
question?
there. So in a because another question that we have right here is like, how important was the role of your spouse in your venture?
Well, at that time, of course, I don't have a spouse now, but back then, it was very important. Um, you know, the support, the understanding of the time and the commitment that you're putting into the business. You have to have that. That's why I say it's so important to bring them in so they understand what are you doing. And also you need to bring that passion into your home so they understand that you as a woman you're bringing a business into their home. So they have to understand that. So my spouse at the time was very supportive, and he understood that this was something that I wanted to do more than anything. And so, but if you don't have that, then it's okay, because you can have people in your life. You have family members, like my daughter, my son. They're all very involved in my life, and they're my why. They're the reason that I just keep on going. The times where I was feeling like I'm gonna throw the towel, I can't do this anymore. That's when you think, wait a minute. Why am I doing this? Who am I doing this for? And then you keep going forward.
So right now with the projects that you are working on, what's one of the things that really truly motivates you to get up in the morning?
What is that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
One of the motivations that like really like get you going in the morning, that get you inspired these days now with all the projects that you are working on?
What is it that gets me motivated?
Yeah, these days.
These days, well, my children are still here, of course, and now I have a granddaughter. So they are my inspiration. Every day when I wake up, that's what I think about. You know, everything that I want to leave a legacy. I want them to say, you know, my mom was out there empowering people to do what she did, you know, and they're my biggest cheerleader. Like my daughter, I know she's on this call. She's listening to me, and you know, and she's always been there for me all the time. So that's what motivates me. And of course, you know, I do a lot of reading. There's a lot of books out there. There's a lot of great information that can get you going. So, you know, every day I try to do something different. And the biggest thing is I always try to find what I can do for somebody else.
I'm glad that you mentioned the book, because one of the questions is that if you could share a book that you think every entrepreneur should read before starting their business, and one song that inspires you the most.
That's very cute. Well, you know, there's a couple books that I read at the beginning. Obviously, the first one would be an Anthony Robbins book, which is Awaken the Giant Within. And Tony talks about how to be passionate about your life. And then the other book that I really, really enjoyed was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That book obviously talks about envisioning what you want. I talk about, when I do my presentations, I talk about the be to have attitude. You become the person that you want to be today, and then you just do the things that it takes to get there. So when I wanted to be the CEO of my company, when I opened the door of my business, I didn't have any money yet, but I was the president and CEO of my company. And I believed it. And just because I did, I was able to do everything that I did. Now, when it comes to music, music is fantastic. It's a way of really getting motivated every day. One of the things that I used to do when I used to do my presentations is I used to play a Celia Cruz song that's called La vida es un carnaval, which is life is a carnival. You guys know that song, right? And it was so wonderful because, first of all, the lyrics of the song are fantastic, but I used to have people get up and dance to the song, and I had an audience of Americans and Latinos and everything, and everybody would get so excited with that song. So that song was just something that I always used when I was doing a presentation, because you know, life is a carnival. You know, you have to think of it. Every day is a surprise. So, and then right now there's a song that is called "The Best Day of My Life," and it's by the American authors. That's one of my favorite songs that I listen to now, because every day is your best day of your life. You have to make it the best day of your life, no matter what. And so I recommend you look that up and listen to it, and it will get you up and fired up.
That's great. So, did you ever created a vision board, and do you? How important are goals, like setting goals to accomplish your dream?
You know, there's a goal setting seminar that I present, that I actually, we do that. We all sit down and we create this vision board. I'm very visual, and I'm sure most people are. And
I think
and I tell
Latinos in general.
Yeah, and so I think that it's imperative, if you have a business, that you make this vision board and put everything that you want and look at it every single day. Uh, to me, that was the key. There's really, it's almost scary. There's things in my vision board that I put up that actually happened. They were almost to the exact description.
Wow.
And I believe that so much, and that's what we do. We visualize, and then we put it on the board, and then you every day you tell yourself that this is what you have. If you it's like Napoleon Hill said, you know, you think it and you become rich. Now, it's not about being rich monetarily, but it's rich in every other way. So yeah, I that's one of my favorite seminars that I do, because it's funny how people start really imagining things that they never really took time to do. Because you can't just sit there and think about it. You have to look at it.
So, do you think that we are the ones who put limitations to ourselves? Like we end up being like the biggest barrier to ourselves to accomplish success?
Yes. We're worst enemies, and it's all about fear. We're so scared sometimes to jump in. But that's what I'm saying. Us as Latinos, we're fearless. We do things and it doesn't matter. We just go out there and do it. And I think that yeah, we put so many limitations sometimes, and we get to the fork in the road and we go, oh well, I am comfortable here and it's probably less painful to stay here, but really, is it? So if you jump over and you do those things, yeah, you might fall down. You just get up and you just keep on going. So, don't stop. Don't let fear become so important that you can't do the things. And like I said, do it for some other reason than yourself. Do it for somebody else. Have that big why of somebody that you care so much that you're going to want to do these things.
That's great. The other thing is that that when we are starting our business, we are like so focused on like business development, sales, marketing, that in a lot of situations we do not allocate time, not just for the family, but also for like connecting and collaborating with people that can actually help us to accomplish our goals better. So what can you share to all those entrepreneurs that are out there right now in terms of the importance of networking?
Networking is really the key. I am the networking queen. I mean, you have to learn how to do that because when people know what you do and you're passionate, they're so willing to help you. There's been people in my life that have given me advice, that have actually took me to some possible businesses that brought me thousands of dollars, and I just think that you have to go out there, and even if you don't feel comfortable, get out there and remember what you do and show people what you do, and they are willing to tell you everything. There's so many influential people out there, and it's just a matter, they talk about the 6 degree of separation, there's just, it's amazing how let me tell you this, I get so excited because I met somebody. I wanted to meet Will Smith, right? Because he really motivated me at one point. And I met somebody who was a cousin of a cousin. And anyway, to the end, it was 6 people that I could get to Will Smith. And I was like, that's unbelievable. See, you never know. You never know when you meet somebody. Who do they know? Who are the people they can introduce you that can actually explode your business? And there you go. But just because you might be afraid to get out there, you just don't get to meet those people. So networking, ladies, get out there and network. We're great women. We can talk about anything.
Okay, but here's the thing. There are a lot of people out there that they are not that social. So what advice can you give them to like get rid of whatever fears they have and just go after people or contacts that they would like to connect with?
When I first came here, I was very shy. I mean, I was so shy that seriously, I just actually I met with a high school friend and said, Monica, I cannot believe that this is what you do because you were so shy, you wouldn't talk to anyone. And you know how I overcame that is, first of all, I used to take a friend of mine that was social with me. And then I would stand right by my friend and let her kind of bring the people in. And then I would start talking because now I felt comfortable because I had my little cushion there, a person. So if you're afraid, if you don't feel that you have the social skills to do that, start taking people, go out with people that do. And believe me, I became, all of a sudden, I didn't need anybody. I was out there doing it by myself. But at first, that's just, that's a little trick that I learned. Just go with people that you feel comfortable and that they're very social.
That's a good tip right there. Sonia, you
Yeah.
have been very quiet, but I'm pretty sure that you have a couple of questions for Monica.
Absolutely, and I am just in awe and marveled by how Monica, by instinct, if you will, with everyone that is joining us online, following the hashtag Latin Ask. So sharing with them those golden nuggets that you are talking right now. And the first question that I have for you, Monica, yes, the passionate about the things that you love to keep going forward. The other aspect that would be the emotional support and the soft support. But what about um, the skills? What you needed to get accomplished in order to get, like, for example, being able to be a speaker for Anthony Robbins' team? What kind of preparation or what kind of soft skills and intellectual skills Latino women need to master or need to work on?
Okay, I couldn't hear you very well, but I think you were asking me what are the skills that people need to get to be able to. I wasn't sure I heard the whole
Yes.
question.
Yeah, yeah. What kind of intellectual skills, soft skills, in order to accomplish, to get to the point where you are right now? If we look at you as a role model.
Well, there's so many different things you can do nowadays. That you can learn from. For example, the internet is fabulous. There's so many teachers out there that actually teach people how to speak or how to be able to promote yourself. That's one thing that, like I said, 10, 15 years ago was not available. I believe that if you it depends on what career you're in. There are so many sources out there, and especially like if you go to the minority business development centers, they have those type of things. I'm sure that you're aware of that when I first went there, I didn't know about it. Excuse me, I need some water.
Yeah.
I've been talking all day. I've been talking to clients all day, so I'm a little choked up. Um, so especially like I said, now with the Hispanic Chamber of E-commerce, we have so many. I'm sure we have a lot of people out there that can teach the Latinas what are those areas where they're needing to learn to get out there, or to study for their trades. I went to when I was doing my research, I went to the library and I actually learned a lot from that because we didn't have the internet then. So, does that answer your question?
Yes, absolutely. And the other thing it would be, what would you recommend now? I mean, on those times, obviously the library was the place to go. So, but nowadays, what would you recommend for the young Latinas, for those that, in your case, in my case, we came from another country and we adapted to the way of living here and trying to make a name for ourselves. But for those Latinas that are second generation or third generation, what would you recommend? Because I believe they are kind of like in the middle. So what would be the advice for those young Latinas?
But yeah, because when we were there, we had the barrier of the language, correct? And now
Yes.
the second generations, they already speak the language, actually bilingual sometimes. So I think that that's a huge advantage because we had to learn. I didn't speak any English when I came to this country, so I had to learn. I had to, if I wanted to be somebody, I had to learn. So for the young Latinas now, I talk about passion. When I speak to them, it's like find out what is it that you want to do. I know there's so many young people, they are in college and they're trying to figure out what is it that they want to do. So go with what you really want to do and start from there. Go to school and learn. If you're already in school, try to take those classes that are going to push you to get to that career that you really want to do. But I think that right now, this is the time for Latinas to really take off. And for those young women, the sky's the limit because they can speak both languages. They can do anything. So look at the advantage that they have. So the resources are there. It's just a matter of to get out there and take them.
Great.
That's great. So, oh, you have another question, Sonia?
No. That's I'm
Okay.
just fascinated by the conversation,
I
and
know,
I know that we
I
can
am
go on
too.
and on and on.
I
Uh,
know. That's why I get so fascinated because when I work with a company and we do these transformations, I always look at when people are inside the box. Sometimes it's hard to see what is out there, and it's so great to bring a fresh mind in and show them how they can make themselves unique and different. And that's the part that I teach is it's how can you be somebody that's completely different than anybody else in your industry, you know?
Yeah. Well, Monica, I think we could keep talking for hours, especially
Yes.
with someone like you that has such an amazing story and amazing
Thank you.
background and so many great things to share. And I'm pretty sure that questions are going to keep flowing moving forward. So I'll make sure that I share some of those with you, and we can probably keep answering questions via like a blog post or a future hangout and stuff. But is there anything else that you would like to say for this session? Any other advice that you would like to share with the audience, and also let us know what you are working on, and is there anything that we can do to help you out?
Well, my biggest advice is that decide what you want to do. Decide it. Just go for it. Don't allow the fear to take over. Um, so many times we overthink everything, and just jump in and do what you like. The rewards are unbelievable. Trust me on that. And as I told you, I want to be able to be a resource, and that resource is I wanted to give 8 hours of my coaching to somebody that's in this group and make it a success. That's my biggest reward. So what I love to have is have people send in and let us know what is the biggest obstacle that they have right now and why would they want to get some help? Where do they want to go? If they can send those in, and I will go through them and pick one, and I will be more than happy to give out 8 hours of my time to help that person really take off and make it a success story. And then we can bring that person to one of these calls and they can share and talk about how this all worked out. I would love to do that.
Wow, that's
that's
amazing.
awesome.
I think
Yeah.
we're gonna get a lot of sign-ups for that.
Yes,
I'm
that'd be
gonna
phenomenal.
I'm gonna tell my wife to apply in my behalf.
Hey, hey.
Well, thank you very much, Monica. I really appreciate your time, and I truly appreciate the support that you are giving to the Hispanic Chamber of E-commerce. I know that we are just starting with this new, uh, I could say, stage of the organization.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I'm really, really excited with what's coming ahead because we have you and Sonia and all the other members that have a lot of experience in everything that they do, and together we're going to be able to bring a lot of value to the community with our joint expertise and experiences and stuff. So I want to thank you again for taking the time to talk to us this evening. And I'm pretty sure that we're going to be bothering you pretty soon with another hangout so we can talk about something more specific that
Sure.
our audience wants to listen to.
No, that's great. It's my pleasure. You don't understand how much I appreciate that I actually was selected to be in the advisory board. I'm just feeling very proud about that. And thank you for the opportunity and for letting me share my information because I want to help. I really do. I think Latinas we have so much to do right now, and it's going to be fabulous. I mean, we're going to take over.
Yeah, no, and the beauty of our organization is that we're focused on those family-owned businesses. So I think with your support, we are definitely gonna keep providing a lot of value to the community. So thank you so much, Monica. Sonia, would you like to say something before we leave?
No, other than we will go through the questions that were submitted, and also we will review the Twitter wall and all the posts that were the tweets that were with the hashtag Latin Ask. And with that, we will be programming another hangout probably in a month from now, so where we will have the opportunity of talking with Monica. So if there are any burning questions that were unanswered, please follow hashtag Latin Ask, and we will try to answer those as we get into the next Google Hangout. And thank you,
That's
everyone.
great. And just so
Thank
you know,
you.
like 58% of our membership are women, so we need to provide, the resources that they need to be successful. Yeah.
That's right. We're taking over. I told you.
I know, and I'm fine with that. I don't have a problem.
Sí. Viva
Well,
las
thank you.
Excellent.
Latinas. Viva las Latinas.
Así es. Un beso.
Viva.
Bye a
Thank you
todos.
so much.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Bye,
You too.
guys.
Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.